Hello, everyone, and welcome to another CAS 360 webinar. Today, we are going to focus on trusts and trust distributions. So I'll just move you over to my slides. For those that haven't met me before, my name is Warren, and I'm the head of CAS 360 here at BGL. And joining me today for today's session is Alissa. Hello, Alissa.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for that, Warren. So just a bit of a background for me. Obviously, Warren's the head of CAS 360. So I joined BGL in September last year and am in the role of product advocate. I joined BGL from a firm where I looked after the SMSF division. So have a lot of experience with obviously the superannuation funds within a firm, but we were also a user of CAS Desktop and then subsequently CAS 360 when we made the move across to the cloud-based product. So looking forward to talking to you about how CAS 360 can help with your trusts and in particular the distributions, which we'll be looking at this time of year.
Absolutely. And thank you, Alissa. So just before we get into today's content, just to cover off on some of the very common questions. Yes, the webinar is being recorded and we will post it in the CAS 360 community. So that's where all of your webinars will be posted, also be on YouTube, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which has hours of entertaining content from CAS 360 and obviously less entertaining Simple Fund 360 content. No, only joking. Also, all the attendees will receive an email after the session as well. We do have Andy just to the left of me answering questions. So if you do have any questions, please type them into the Q&A. Andy will do his best to type them if you've typed the answer. But if we do cover the answer in the content, obviously we can cover that as well. And obviously a bit of a disclaimer there, BGL does not offer tax advice. That's it. So that's the housekeeping. And I'm going to now hand over to you, Alissa, to talk a little bit about trusts and some of the problems that trusts bring up around this time of year.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Warren. So I suppose we had a sit down and spoke about this particular time of year, the problems or the work that accountants tend to shift their focus towards, and that obviously becomes around tax planning. Now, the firm that I worked in had I suppose, numerous methods for managing trusts. We did have our trust set up in CAS 360 and just found that it was a great way to be managing the trusts, keeping an eye on any changes that needed to happen. It meant that we had access to a unit register at the drop of a hat when we needed it, in particular when we had SMSFs that were the unit holders of the trust. So that made it really easy to be able to provide that document to the auditors, issuing any sort of new units, and we were able to generate the certificates. And more importantly, this time of year, being able to generate those trust distribution documents to be sent out to the client for signing. So wanted to talk about how CAS 360 can help and eliminate having to prepare those documents in, say, Word and managing your trusts in Excel. So, yeah. So in terms of what we're going to cover today, I'll get Warren to flick over to the next slide for us. So we'll look at the trusts in CAS 360. So that will cover, how you're getting your trusts in. We'll go through how you prepare these trust distribution statements, also how you can prepare the dividend statements, so for companies when you're doing your tax planning at this time of year, and also the option of having those documents digitally signed if that's something that you were looking at doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alissa. And I mean, we find so many practices are still managing trusts via spreadsheets and Word documents. And, this time of year, it's a case of going into your file folder, pulling out last year's distribution and maybe copying it and changing the years. But also, where it is a unit trust, having to find the unit holdings, and for a company where you're doing the dividend, having to find the shareholdings and things like that. So what we've built in CAS 360 is a series of tools that we're going to cover today that really help you, first of all, manage trusts, and secondly, really help you navigate this time of year for your audit purposes and also your distribution purposes. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is trusts in CAS 360 and why we should manage those trusts. So first of all, and one place I really like to start with managing trusts in CAS 360 is we all see CAS 360 as the home of our companies. And we put all of our companies into CAS 360 and we complete all of our company management with ASIC inside CAS 360. But what about all those trustee companies? So those trustee companies, you're completing your asset compliance work for the company side, but there's such a close link between the trustee companies and the trust. So is it a unit trust or a discretionary trust? What we're able to do is link the trustee company to be the trustee of that particular trust. And that opens up a whole level of reporting across the company and across the trust. But what it also means is you don't have to rekey all the information in. Because you've already got the trustee company, we already know who the trustee company is. So you simply just attach it to the trust. And straight away we know the trustee company, and then we know the directors of the trustee as well, trustee company as well. So we're able to really utilize that data that we already have to manage our trusts better. Then we have some really obvious features, things like unit registers. So the unit, if you haven't seen the unit transaction screen, it's almost identical to the share transaction screen. The share transaction screen allows you to prepare all of your share register information and all of your share transaction supporting forms. The unit register is identical. You're able to prepare a full unit register, and you also prepare all of your full supporting documents for any unit transaction, including unit certificates. Now, what we've added over the last 12 months is a fantastic feature called trust events, and I'll cover a little bit about that as well today. But we've got a great area where you're able to put in all of the events of a trust and then prepare documentation. So you're able to say, okay, has there been a purchase of a property in that trust? Has there been an enhancement to that property or a capital addition to that property? And you're able to prepare trustee minutes for that particular transaction. And it just means that you've got more information inside CAS 360 for that trust, and you're able to prepare the templated documents, which are completely customizable at the click of a button. Obviously covered unit certificates and then distribution statements. So you're able to prepare your unit distributions and your discretionary trust distributions statements and supporting documents, all from within CAS 360. So you don't have to go searching through any of your old folders. You've got all of that at your fingertips. So what I'm going to do now is just jump into a bit of a live demonstration of trusts in CAS 360. And if you haven't seen it, here's your first look. So I'll move over to CAS 360, and here I have on my second button, trusts. Now, this is where you'll have all of your trusts listed. And you'll see here, you've got your trust, very similar to your company screen, your trusts listed down the left. You've got your trust type, and I'll talk about types in a second, and then also your trustees. Okay, you're able to use all of your labels that you use for your companies across your trusts as well. So if you're using a label structure about person in charge or manager in charge or partner in charge, you can utilize that. Or if you're using trusts by office, labels by office or by family group, you're able to do that as well and really help you sort and record all of those trusts. And you can still use things like the favorite labeling system, where it will filter out all of the trusts that essentially you're not responsible for. Adding a trust is really simple. Just click on Add Trust. And what you're able to go through is add the particular trust, but you can also put in things like the trust name and specify the trust type. So we do support your unit trust, discretionary trusts, hybrid trusts, and bare trusts. So we do have support for that. And then when it comes to trustee, you're able to toggle, or you've got a toggle here, is the trustee company managed in CAS 360? If that is toggled on, up will come a list of all of your companies. Okay, so you can type in Bean, and there's all the companies related to Bean. But you can toggle that off, and then you can select a contact. So maybe it's a family trust with an individual trustee. Then you just toggle that off and select the contact from within CAS 360. So you do have all of that flexibility. If the company is not managed in CAS, if the corporate trustee is not managed as a company inside CAS 360, of course you can add it as just a contact company, and that will get around that particular issue. But obviously, if it's managed in CAS 360, you unlock a whole heap of extra features. So it's very simple and very straightforward to add a trust into CAS 360. Now, if you did have your trusts in CAS Desktop, you're very lucky because they will have been migrated. So all of your trusts will have been migrated across to CAS 360 as well.
Thanks for showing us that, Warren. Is there a way that you can get, if you were, for example, managing the trusts in Excel at the moment or in some other way, is there a way that you can bulk get your trusts into CAS 360? Absolutely.
And, you know, this is really the main cause of not putting the trusts in CAS 360 is, you know, it is can be quite labor intensive to get the trusts in. So what we released late last year, and you'll see it stands out, a big orange box here on the left-hand side, is to download a trust import template. And what that is, it's an Excel spreadsheet template where you can copy and paste all of your trust information in. Then you send it to BGL and we will import it for you. And all of your trust data will go from being in a spreadsheet to being in a system organized like CAS 360. So you'll have your trust data in there, your trust details, all of your things like your trustees, your appointers, all the way through to your unit holders and your beneficiaries. So we can import all of that information, and that will really set you up for being able to utilize that data for things like end of financial year distributions, but also little things like change of trustees or change of unit holders. So you're able to really get that data in quickly and easily.
And once you've got all that, I suppose, all that data in there, is there a way to be able to go into the trust and sort of recreate the history if you wanted to create, so you had the unit register or, a history of trust events?
Yeah, absolutely. So once you've got your trust in there, obviously you can go in to the trust, very similar to the company screens. It's all done quite deliberately. Things like relationships, you can go in and put in your historical trustees and things like that as well. So if you wanted to add a trustee, it's very similar, almost identical to the company offices transactions, where you can go in and add that particular trustee in, and you can build a whole history of the trust here, and also your unit holders. So you'll see here, I've got a really detailed unit register, but you are able to add in all of your unit transactions, both historical and current, to really create a detailed unit register. So if you wanted a historical unit register, maybe you've got a lot of transactions inside this particular trust, you absolutely can recreate the history to give you a full historical register. And that's really one of the big powerful advantages of CAS 360, because what you're able to do is recreate the historical trust register. And then when you go to your report screen, you're able to prepare a trust register at a specific date. So if all of a sudden there's an incident and an issue and you need a full register as of the 30th of June 2019, well, CAS 360 will do that for you, because you just type in register date, 30 June 19, click print, and up will come the register as it was on that particular date. So a full historical register really helps with that functionality.
I know that particular function was incredibly helpful with getting super funds through audit, particularly when they had the unit holdings in the unit trusts that we looked after. And the first thing the auditor would always ask for is, we need the unit register as of this date. And so we'd send it through, and it was always great to be able to provide it. And it's a professional looking document. It's not a, print screen of an Excel spreadsheet where you've managed everything yourself. So it's great.
Yeah, it's completely consistent with the company forms. So if you go to your reports, you'll find here you've got trust registers and a unit holder register, and up will come your unit holder register. And then it's all about this report date and specifying the report date. You've got a couple of options here as well around premiums and historical data, and also decimal places. And you can also change the name order as well. So you've got a fair bit of functionality there, and then obviously you can export it out to PDF or a Word doc if you need some further wizardry.
Excellent. Now we'll jump across to the actual trust distribution statements and what it shows. So in terms of the document that it will generate, it will bring up the income components, and it will prepare the distribution statement and a declaration of the distribution. And I'm going to get Warren to jump in and show us how we prepare them.
Absolutely. So thank you, Alissa. Now, what we've done is for our trust distributions, and here we're talking about discretionary trust distributions. And what we're trying to do is really cover off as many of these income tax components as you need. When we were going through the specifications, we had a whole heap of components that we took from our friends in the Simple Fund team, and really wanted to complete out and have all of the components that you might need. And then we had to factor in the time of the distribution. So if you were doing the distribution as of the 30th of June, you might, or even before, if you're super organized, you might not have the dollar amounts, or you won't have the dollar amounts, and you might not even have the percentage amounts. So we had to be flexible about what we were able to provide. So we obviously provide the dollar amounts and the percentage amounts when you have that information. We also created a feature called free text, and this will allow you to prepare your distribution and type essentially whatever you need to type in. Okay, so if you were going through some complex streaming, you're absolutely able to put that in to the distribution and have your distribution statement and your distribution resolution show everything that you want. So let's go through and have a look. So what I'm going to do here is just go into my discretionary trust, and I'm going to have a look at the section here called beneficiaries. So here we have a loose list of beneficiaries. Now, you're able to add and remove beneficiaries whenever you need, and you're able to store that in there. We tend to save the beneficiaries in there purely for simplicity when going year to year, because you'll be able to retain those beneficiaries and add and remove them as you go. And then you click on distributions. And from here, you'll have add distribution and review distribution. So if you want to review a distribution, you can click on review, and up will come all of your previous distributions that you have done. So you're able to see them, and you click on edit, and you're able to view that distribution in full. So if you ever were doing year to year distributions, you're actually able to very easily look back on last year's distribution. What I'm going to do is add a new one. So when I click on add distribution, up comes my discretionary trust distribution. Select my date declared, and I can go and make that the 30th of June. Currency is obviously Australian dollars for me. And then we've got the distribution type. So we've got the distribute by dollar amount and distribute by percentage. If you have that information, that's great, and you can prepare the distribution for that. If you don't, let's click on free text. And when we've got free text, we've now got our beneficiaries listed down the left, and you can add another beneficiary if you needed to. And you've obviously got your income tax components across the top here. So I've got, by default, we automatically display dividends franked, unfranked, gross interest, and other income. But if you needed to add another item, you can simply click on the green plus, and up will come all of those income tax components, or the other income tax components that you might need. So you've got a whole heap there that you can add, and they just add another column. It's like a spreadsheet.
Perfect.
And then we
I
go
know
through.
that we had historically we had situations where you had a beneficiary that was only going to be receiving, capital gains from the distribution because they had massive capital losses that they could offset against in their personal tax return. So great that you can differentiate between the different types of income and the flexibilities there.
Absolutely, and it just makes it easier when preparing your resolutions, because all the information that we enter in here automatically appears in the resolution. So what I'm going to go through is just add some of the free text in. So if I go to someone like Andy, and maybe Andy can get the first $416. And then someone like Daniel might get 50% of the balance, and Matt might get 50% of the remaining balance. So what you're able to do there is enter in the information that you need and actually specify the particular amount. So I can go through here and continue to put in maybe Anthony. I'm just putting in some dummy data, but maybe Anthony might receive the first 5,000, and then I might receive 100% of balance. Go across to something like the gross interest. Again, Anthony might receive the first 5,000, and this time Matt might receive 100% of the balance. We're able to go through all of these particular components, and once we've done, we click Save and Prepare. So that will save those transactions, or those distribution amounts, and up will come my suite of documents. And the thing we're looking for here is the Declaration of Distribution Resolution. And up that will come up, and you can see here, you've got your resolution pre-filled in, and all of the information that we added in to that distribution all automatically appears under the correct tag inside the distribution. Okay, and then because it is a corporate trustee and the company is in CAS 360, automatically all the corporate trustee directors are signing, company directors are signing. And we have all of that information all pre-filled. So we haven't had to go to a Word document and change all the years and things like that. CAS 360 does all of that through its document templates. And you can simply put in the information from the distribution, and it will prepare that distribution resolution. Now, this document is completely customizable. At the time of production, you are able to click on the options button and export it out to Word. Okay, so you've got export to Microsoft Word here. We also have the ability to customize the template as well. So if, for example, you had, and I know a lot of firms have their own distribution resolution templates. You can go and put your distribution resolution template in. We've actually been helping a number of firms over the last month set up these templates. So you can go and get your own template. We obviously use the same Microsoft Word document templates that we use for all of our company documents here. You can customize your distribution, make it look exactly like your firm's current distribution, and then CAS 360 will just merge in the information that is needed.
Now, Warren, if you are using CAS 360 to prepare these distribution minutes, is there a way you could potentially go back into it and say the one you've just prepared, edit it?
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever you prepare a distribution in CAS 360, it's completely customizable. It's saved in the system going forward. So what you're able to do is there's a couple of things you can do here. You can click on review distributions. So maybe you've got a bit more information now. You'll notice that the distribution is there. Click on edit. And what you're able to do is you'll see the distribution as it was entered in, and you can go and make whatever alterations that you want to this particular distribution. So
Perfect.
Go in there and change any of the amounts, change any of the recipient beneficiaries, and go from there. And obviously the date will remain the 30th of June, which is important.
Yeah.
And then what you're able to do is once you have the dollar amounts, is you're able to go and add a distribution and add in the actual dollar amounts. So you can go here by distribute by dollar amounts. And again, let's go here. I'm going to put this in and I'll just enter in some dollar amounts in here. And I'll just, and then when you click save and prepare with the dollar amounts, you get a little bit more information because you'll get your listing of distributions paid, and you'll also get your distribution statement. So you can see here, I've now got my distribution statement that is completed with the correct dollar amounts that I can use. And I also have my distribution resolution with the dollar amounts.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks for showing us how to do that.
All good. And hopefully for those of you that are listening, you're able to utilize this feature. It does make it a lot easier to prepare, we think anyway, a lot easier to prepare those distributions rather than opening up hundreds of Microsoft Word documents and changing the templates.
Absolutely. I know the firm that I worked at, that was one of the massive jobs that came up at this time of year, was rolling forward all the Word documents, getting them very ready with the right years on them and making sure that we checked against the trust deed. And it was definitely a huge task. This would definitely make it a lot more simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there's a couple of questions here that I'll do my best to answer because we want to make sure that we can get all this content done. But a couple of questions here. Is there an audit trail for changes? No, there's not an audit trail. We will always save who prepares the documents. Okay, but there's not so much an audit trail in, I suppose, a really granular audit trail of who entered in what. We don't have that sort of audit trail. We will have who prepared the distribution statement though, okay? Just wanted to check if the standard distribution templates in CAS 360 are ATO compliant with regards to things like definitions of income. Always very difficult to answer this sort of question. Joel, we try to provide very standard distribution templates. We use the CCH standard template guide really as a way. Obviously, if your practice has some templates that you've customized yourself, we encourage you to put them in. We certainly have built the features so that you can utilize those templates as well. I suppose the CAS 360 templates focus on what is true and factual and put into CAS 360. So we probably can't go too much beyond that. So that's the best we can do. Can you enter specific clauses into the minute from the individual trust deed? Molly, this is definitely a feature that's on our wish list. It's not something that is available today, but I think that you'll see it pretty soon. What you're going to be able to do when you add your distribution is reference the distribution clauses in the trust deed. For now, the best thing to do would be export it out to Word and maybe key that in. We have tried to be a little bit creative with the generic distribution resolution, which just references the trust deed rather than specific clauses. There is no space between company name and ACN in that minute. Is there a way to fix that? Yes, there is. You absolutely can fix that, Lucy. Put a space in. Are there areas to enter in the definition of income? Which clause? I think I covered that off, Kevin. When it comes to distributions, if you wish to distribute a total income figure, which one should it be used? As it's not other income, but rather total income. Yeah, I mean, what you might be able to do, Anthony, is actually customize the template to reference total income as opposed to other income. Obviously, we've really tried to focus on a real granular breakdown of the income components rather than a total, I guess. But you would be able to essentially overwrite the field in the Word template if you wanted to do that. All right, I'll move on because there's more questions coming through, but I'll move on to the next page, and that is obviously the live demo of the distribution. And now what I'm going to touch on is dividend statements. Now, when I show this, I want to be really clear. With dividend statements in CAS 360 for companies, the distribution statements for unit trusts are identical. Okay, so these are essentially one and the same feature. So if you're doing your end of financial year dividends or you're doing your end of financial year unit distributions, the process is identical. So let's go have a look. So if I move over now to my company screen, what I'm going to do here is just pick one of my companies. And I go to my shareholder screen. So here I've got some shareholders, and I've got a nice little breakdown of the shareholders. Here you can see there's 21 shares in total. Myself and Daniel hold 40% each, and Joe and Mary own about 4% each. So you've got 4 shareholders here. To enter in the dividends, simply click on dividends, add dividend. Okay, and now what I've got is obviously my dividend entering in screen, my add dividend screen. First and foremost, we want to do the dates and sort the dates. So I'm going to select 30th of June. And I'm going to use the date declared as the document date. And this will just make sure all of my documents are dated 30th of June, and you won't have any issues from there. From there, we use all of the share data or unit data inside CAS 360. So we simply select the share type. We know that there's 21 shares, and then it's all about the dividend. So is it a dividend amount per share or a total dividend? Let's go per share. Let's go $1,200 per share. And then we have the franking amount. So here we're able to put in our franking credit. So here, the way that we do it is you put in the total dividend amount, and then you put in the dollar amount that is franked, and CAS 360 will show you a percentage. Okay, so this is a fully franked dividend. If I was to put it in as 600, it'll obviously be a 50% franked dividend. And then we have the tax rate. So depending on the size of the company, you've got the different tax rates available, and you're able to specify the tax rate for that. So I'll leave it at 30% for this one. We've got some other information here about dividend types. So you can put in the dividend type. You can also put in dividend payment. So was it credited to a loan account, which I know that can happen quite regularly as well as being paid in cash, and also other. So I've got a fair bit of information there. And then we click Save and Prepare Documents. Payment date. Fix up the payment date. Now, what we have here is our full dividend statements. Okay, so, and we have our full pack for those dividend statements. So we've got our cover letter, dividend statement, our declaration of dividend, notice of members meeting, members minutes, members consent, and a listing of all the dividends paid. But what we want to have a look at here is the dividend statement itself. So here is the dividend statement. Again, it's completely customizable from CAS 360, but this is the baseline template. And it has all of the dividend information here, including the franking rate, the franking percentage, and also the imputation credits. So they are all pre-filled and calculated for you. And you can go through and have a look at all of those different dividends. So the beauty here is obviously utilizing the data that you already have from the share registry, just putting in the information of the dividend, and CAS 360 effectively doing the rest for you. You can see you've got all of that entered in. Then you can go and have a look at some of the other documents here. So we've got obviously a declaration of dividend resolution. Okay, so you can see that's being signed off by all the directors of the company. And then we have, very similar to what we have for our distributions, we actually have a listing report of the dividends paid. So you get a nice report here showing exactly who received the dividends and how much they received, and including their imputation credit. So you get your full pack of documents. Again, the documents are completely customizable. And I know I'm jumping ahead here, and all of these documents can be digitally signed. Okay, so all of our trust resolution documents can be digitally signed as well. I know that might be a bit of a touchy topic, a touchy subject, but we've made them able to be digitally signed. Completely up to you if you want to get them digitally signed. But all of these documents are able to utilize our existing Adobe Sign and DocuSign integration for digital signing. And obviously you can get them digitally signed and obviously email delivered off to the client. You can also choose to have them manually reviewed as well. So we have our standard document production feature set. Where an email address is missing, you'll obviously be required to put it in. So this is for document delivery. So put that email in, click on my electronic signing options, and I can see exactly who is going to receive each document. Okay. So what I might do is I might just change myself as the director here or the signer here. And what I'll do is I'll send these off to the clients and I'll show you how they work. So we go through a process here to validate. Here is the email that will go out to the client and hit send. And that has now been sent off to the client for signing. So we've been able to prepare the dividend statements, deliver the email to the client with digital signing enabled.
Awesome. Now, I know that there was a question that came through about the trusts in CAS 360 and whether or not, I suppose, it counts towards your subscription total and what the charge is for having your trusts in CAS 360.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's got a great answer. We don't charge for trusts in CAS 360. So CAS 360 is licensed by companies. So if you have 500 companies, then you need to pay a 500 company subscription. If you have 1,200 trusts, you don't need to pay anything extra. So you are able to add all of your trusts in CAS 360 for no charge. We will import them from a spreadsheet for you at no charge, and you are able to manage all of your trusts at no charge. You're able to prepare all of your distribution documents, all of your unit registers, all of your change of trustee documents and things like that at absolutely no charge. So we do not charge for trusts. They are free. We have some firms that have a 25 company subscription and 100 trusts. So yeah, we do not charge for trusts. The features are there and available for you for free.
Awesome. Now,
what I've got here is I'll just go through the signing of this dividend statement. So here is the email that the company will receive or the directors will receive. They click on review documents and straight away they are proceeded to go through digital signing for those that haven't seen digital signing. So this is exactly what your client would see. So they have some information about the document. And then they are launched straight into DocuSign or Adobe Sign if they use it. And here they are able to view the document pack. Now this document has multiple signers. So we've got here our dividend statements, and because I set myself as the signer, I'm going to need to sign every dividend statement. So I just click adopt and sign here, and I'll sign the next dividend statement and the next one and the next one. And then what I've got here is my notice of members meeting, which I'm going to sign. Okay, the other documents will have different signers, so I can leave them. If they had already signed it, they would be signing there. Click on finish. And that has now been successfully signed. Now, what happens inside CAS 360 is there will be a notification to the user to notify that Warren has signed the documents. And when that comes through. But what I will say is that the other signers obviously still need to sign. So you do get not only the ability to sign the documents, but the tracking that goes with those documents as well. Here's my notification now. So I'll say documents for Bean Roasters have been signed by Warren Renden. So there we go.
Perfect.
And you'll be able to go into your documents tab here, your global documents, and you'll see your dividend statement, and you'll be able to have a look at the history here of who it was sent to, but also have a look at the document attachments. Just get rid of that status screen and the attachments here, and you'll be able to see that information. And when the document has been completely signed, you'll get your signed copy here and also a DocuSign certificate.
Awesome.
So that's dividend statements and that's digital signing. What we'll do now, obviously thank everyone for coming along, but open it up to any questions, or if you wanted us to dive deeper into a couple of other features, please ask them away in the Q&A box, which I'll bring up now. So there's a question here, when we'll be able to select individual shareholders for the dividends? It's a good question, Marianne. One thing that we do want to get to is obviously being able to break the dividends down. We've got a feature coming in the next release, which will allow very large companies to do dividends in CAS 360. So we're talking upwards of 1,000 shareholders, things like that. So some capacity there, but it won't break down to individuals just yet. But Marianne, it certainly does. Appear on our wish list. I suppose there's probably two things we want to do with dividends going forward. Is we want dividends to be able to be delivered directly to shareholders, if you want to choose that. And obviously then as part of that being able to specify shareholders. So a bit of work still to go, Marianne, but not just yet. Can electronic signing be incorporated with the Xero document pack? Harry, we would love to maybe speak to Xero a little bit more about that one. We're still awaiting some APIs. With our electronic signing, obviously today we support DocuSign and Adobe Sign. We have announced that we will be adding support for Fuse Sign and for Please Sign very soon as well. So keep your eyes out for those, because we are looking to continuously expand our digital signing options. Question here, distribution shows franked dividends, but not the imputation credit. That's correct at this stage, Murray. It is something that we want to add, is to be able to show the franking credit or the imputation credit on those franked dividends, but today it will just be a total balance. I mean, a lot of the time when you're doing this in free text, you might be able to specify something like that as well inside that free text section. Question here, to do a hybrid trust minute, what is the best way? Anthony, if you could provide a little bit more context there. I'm going to assume that you're talking about a distribution minute for a hybrid trust. But if I'm wrong, please type in the Q&A box and I'll do my best to answer it. For a hybrid trust minute, where especially when you're doing a distribution, the best thing to do would be to go into the you can do both. You can do both individually, or you can do the distribution resolution through the beneficiary section. Through that. Okay, so you have clarified, sorry. So when you have a discretionary elements and you wish to distribute the remaining in accordance to the fixed elements. Yeah, so Anthony, the best thing to do there is obviously you do your unit trust distributions through the unit holder screen, and then you would go to the beneficiary screen and distribute the discretionary elements. So essentially you would do the unit distribution and then the discretionary distribution, you do them separately. That would be the best way to do that for those hybrid trusts. Question here, Mr. Stark, can I get a copy of the recording? Yes, you can, Chris. You'll get an email with your the recording, and also the recording will be in the community. My question may have been dealt with, but can we upload our own distribution minute wording? Absolutely, Chris, you can. All of the documents that CAS 360 prepares for dividends and distributions are completely customizable by the practice. They are Microsoft Word templates, every single one of them, and they are completely customizable by you. If you want to, we'll show this. If you want to customize any of these distribution documents, all you need to do is go to Settings, Document Templates, and search for the template here. So I'll go obviously Australia, and what I'll do is I'll do distribution. I've got here distribution statement, unit trust, or distribution statement, unit trust. So if I wanted to do this, I just click on Options, Download. That will download the Microsoft Word document. Okay, so I'll just click on Save here.
And then I can bring that Bible for making these document changes, Warren, is still the CAS 360 dictionary.
Yes, it is. I'll bring that up in 2 seconds. So what we'll do is we'll open up the document in Microsoft Word. So this will just come up. All right. Word is just booting up. Taking a little bit of time. There we go. So what you'll see here is this is our full distribution statement. All of the funny looking fields are essentially merge fields where we're merging in data. But what you are able to do is obviously move anything around here and add borders, your own wording, everything. It is a complete Microsoft Word document. You can simply customize it however you like. So that's there. And as Alissa mentioned, we have the CAS 360 dictionary. So hopefully this is not an unfamiliar page to you all, but what you're able to do here is I'll do distribution. is type in here just the word distribution. It probably will be the first one that comes up. Distribution statement, discretionary trust, CAS 360 dictionary codes. Distribution statement, unit trust, CAS 360 dictionary codes. Clicking on that will take you through to this help file, which will go through all of the merge fields that you can have appear on the distribution statement. Okay, so if you want things like the address of the entity or the entity address multi-line proper case, multi-line all caps, all of that, but all of the information that you may want on that particular statement is all here. So if you wanted to create your own statement from scratch, you absolutely can. And all of the information that you may need or that we support will be here. If a field is missing, please let us know. We add merge fields each and every single release to help further customize the documents, but every single document for your dividends and for your distributions can be completely customizable.
Now, Warren, with the templates, I know in CAS 360, when you're preparing documents for companies, if you had multiple templates, you can select which one you'd like to use. Could you potentially have different distribution templates set up for the different sections in the trust deed? I know that the review of the trust deed might say, you know, needs to be the net income or whatever it might be. And you could have, you know, a document template that includes that section from the trust deed for, you know, your trusts that you're looking after that distribute that type of income versus a different type of income. So you could potentially customize a template for the relevant trust types.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point. I mean, in CAS 360, we don't limit you to the amount of templates that you can have. So you've got unlimited templates of all of your documents in CAS 360, in particular, you know, these really important ones like your distribution statements and distribution resolutions. Some practices have them set up by deed provider as well, because they might reference very similar clauses with different deed providers, but certainly you can do that. It is a process where you can set it up once and then just every year keep using that particular set of templates. And if you've got a, you know, sort of a group of trusts that use a very similar deed that has very similar clauses, then you might just want to put that label, essentially put a label in for that particular trust or for that group of trusts, and then use that particular template every time you do your distribution. So certainly CAS 360 will allow for as many different distribution templates as you like.
Perfect.
Okay, if there are any other questions, please put them in the Q&A chat now, and Alissa and I will do our very best to answer them. Question here about can we do a demo of the distributions for a hybrid trust? Absolutely. So I'll just jump into my hybrid trust, and what you'll notice here is I've got a unit register here with all of my unit holders. So what I would effectively do here is add my distribution for my unit. So I won't worry too much about dates, but I'll just put in my distribution amount. And this is obviously for the units, where it's all very clear cut about who is receiving what distribution. And from here, I'm able to prepare those distribution statements. Okay, so you can see here, a very clear distribution statement, and you've got a clear listing of distributions paid. Click on download all and prepare that. And that will give me my full unit distribution document pack. And then for the sort of the leftover distribution, I'm going to my beneficiaries and again create a distribution here and put in all of the components. Now the beneficiary might change and I can put in someone else in here. Okay, and from here I will be able to go into maybe put into other income and put in effectively those distribution amounts. Click on save and prepare, and then go and prepare the distribution statements for the essentially for the discretionary part of the distribution as opposed to the unit part. So there was a question about that in the Q&A. So hopefully that answers that question, Anthony, and judging by his response, it does. So thank you, Anthony. There's another question here. One final one, capital distributions, i.e. in specie transfers. Maybe pushing my knowledge a little bit, Alissa. In terms of capital
from the distribution components, you can definitely distribute the capital gains. In terms of in specie transfers, it's pushing my knowledge as well.
Yeah, maybe something we can look at offline, Anthony. All right. So what I've covered off is obviously the distributions and dividends, and obviously adding in your trusts to CAS 360. I did say that I'd cover off on trust events, so I'll very quickly head over to my trust with trust events. But if there are any other questions, please type them in the Q&A and we'll get to them. But I just wanted to very quickly show you trust events. And this is where you're able to store and record all of the events that happen inside a particular trust. So obviously CAS 360 will store all of your things like your trustees, your appointers, things like that, and prepare documents for those. We'll obviously prepare your unit distributions and your discretionary trust distributions, and you can now put in your trust events. So inside an event, what you're able to do is obviously go through an asset acquisition, an asset sale, an asset capital addition, asset revaluation. Then you've got things like loans to the trust, repaying of loans, forgiving debts, loans from the trust, and recovering loans, and then standard income and expense transactions. Here, what I've got here is an asset acquisition and then an asset revaluation. So that's taken place. And what I'm going to do here is just prepare a set of documents for that asset revaluation. So here I get a cover letter. I'll also get a trustee minute or resolution. Okay. And what I've got here is just some minutes relating to that revaluation. Now, this could be a purchase, and you can prepare trustee minutes in relation to a purchase as well. And just to get that signed off by the trustee. So just a standard process of getting a particular minute or resolution signed off to purchase a particular asset or revalue an asset or make a capital addition to an asset. And what you will also have here is a register of trust events. So if there are things that are taking place in the trust, you're able to keep a full register of that. And very similar to our unit register, you're able to prepare this register at any point in time. So if you needed a register of the trust events as of the 30th of June, 2019, you can very easily do that, which is quite nice. And again, full DocuSign or digital signing enablement as well. So you've got all of that there. And again, all of your trust documents will appear in the Trust Documents tab. So hopefully we've got some clients that can obviously take good use of that trust events screen. There aren't any other questions, Alissa, so hopefully that means we've answered them all fantastically well. I would like to take this time for everyone to say thank you for coming along to the session today. I hope that seeing how trust distributions, trusts can be managed inside CAS 360 really helps, and as well as your end of year dividends. So thank you all very, very much for coming along today. I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. But for me and from Alissa, it's bye for now.
And thank you very much, Warren. See you later, everyone.
See you guys.